The best way to learn English. Ling often found herself staring blankly at the complex English textbooks, a familiar wave of despair washing over her. The endless vocabulary lists and intricate grammatical structures felt like an insurmountable mountain. Every single day presented a fresh, overwhelming linguistic challenge, making her, my daily day's struggle, profoundly real and deeply frustrating. She yearned for true comprehension. She had tried numerous conventional methods, diligently memorizing words and attempting to grasp convoluted rules. Yet, the language remained an elusive, frustrating mystery, constantly just beyond her reach. She often wondered, how to learn English, when every path seemed to lead to more confusion, leaving her feeling quite lost and overwhelmed by the task. The sheer volume of new information was simply overwhelming, a constant cascade of unfamiliar sounds and strange sentence structures. It felt like trying to drink from a fire hose, making genuine progress feel agonizingly slow. This initial phase was undeniably discouraging, casting a long shadow over her aspirations to master the language confidently and effectively. Then, a small but significant shift began. She started realizing that simply reading textbooks wasn't enough for true immersion. She needed to understand the rhythm and flow of actual conversations. This insight marked a subtle turning point in her learning journey, pointing towards a new, more dynamic approach she hadn't truly considered before in her studies. Her journey truly began when she embraced the concept of listen and practice. She started consuming English media relentlessly, podcasts, movies with subtitles, and even casual online conversations. The initial cacophony of sounds gradually began to resolve into discernible words and phrases, a slow but steady revelation. This new approach was truly transformative for her. Through consistent listening, she also began to instinctively understand how to learn words more effectively. Instead of rote memorization, words gained context from the way they were used in natural speech. This organic learning process felt far more intuitive and sticky, making new vocabulary much easier to retain and recall in her memory, truly remarkable. She paid close attention to how other people talk in English, observing their intonation, their pauses, and even their body language. It was fascinating to see how native speakers effortlessly weaved words together, using colloquialisms and natural expressions. This observation provided invaluable insights into authentic communication patterns she rarely found in traditional textbooks. Despite her improved comprehension, a significant gap persisted between what she understood and what she could confidently articulate. She could follow conversations, but her own spoken responses often felt clunky and hesitant. This realization brought a new layer of frustration to her learning process, emphasizing a critical missing piece she needed to address soon. The biggest barrier was undoubtedly the fear of making mistakes, of sounding foolish or unintelligent. This common apprehension paralyzed her whenever an opportunity to speak arose. She worried constantly about mispronunciations or grammatical errors, making her often choose silence over potential embarrassment, hindering her progress significantly and quite painfully. However, she soon realized why you should practice speaking. It became abundantly clear that active participation was the only way to solidify her understanding and move beyond passive learning. Fluency wouldn't magically appear, it demanded courageous, consistent effort in real-time communication, regardless of initial imperfections she might encounter along her path. Her first small steps into active speaking were terrifying, filled with awkward pauses and fumbled words. She started by mimicking dialogues from her favorite podcasts, speaking out loud in her room. This private practice allowed her to build a tiny reservoir of confidence before venturing into actual, face-to-face interactions with others, which felt daunting. Recognizing the need for genuine interaction, she actively sought out a speaking partner. This was a crucial step in her journey. She found a patient language exchange partner online, someone who understood the challenges of learning and was willing to engage in regular, supportive conversations, providing invaluable real-world practice opportunities she truly needed. Their initial conversations were a whirlwind of stutters, mispronunciations, and frequent corrections. It felt like an uphill battle, a constant reminder of her lingering deficiencies. Yet, her partner's encouragement and gentle patience helped her persist through the awkwardness, slowly chipping away at her deeply rooted fear of judgment and failure. Her focus sharpened on how to improve your fluency. She understood it wasn't just about knowing words, but about connecting them smoothly and speaking with a natural rhythm. She practiced linking sounds, reducing filler words, and focusing on intonation patterns she had observed in others, striving for greater fluidity in her overall speech. A transformative technique she adopted was recording herself speaking. Playing back her own voice, she could objectively identify areas for improvement, awkward phrasing, repetitive errors, or unclear pronunciation. This self-assessment provided invaluable, unbiased feedback, allowing her to pinpoint weaknesses and refine her spoken English effectively and efficiently over time. She continued to mimic native speakers she admired, paying close attention to their cadence and expression. This wasn't about losing her own accent, but about internalizing natural speech patterns. She'd repeat phrases, trying to match the rhythm and emphasis, which slowly but surely began to feel more natural and less forced over time, a big step. Active speaking also surprisingly helped her how to learn words more effectively. When she struggled to find a word in conversation, the effort to recall or paraphrase it cemented it in her memory more deeply than any flashcard ever could. Speaking made vocabulary active, not just passive knowledge, reinforcing retention powerfully. Her daily days struggle slowly morphed into learn English daily habits. She integrated English into every aspect of her life, reading news articles, watching YouTube videos, and even thinking in English during mundane tasks. This constant immersion was pivotal, making the language an organic part of her routine and identity. Consistency was truly key. There were days she felt tired, unmotivated, and doubted her progress. But she remembered the initial despair and pushed through, even if it was just 15 minutes of listening or a quick chat with her partner. Small, consistent efforts compounded into significant gains over time, proving vital. She encountered plateaus, periods where progress seemed to halt, causing frustration to resurface. These moments tested her resolve, making her question her methods. Yet, she persevered, adjusting her approach, seeking new materials, or simply taking a short break before diving back in with renewed determination and focus, never giving up fully. While speaking became primary, she didn't neglect grammar entirely. Instead of memorizing rules in isolation, she learned grammar through context, noticing how native speakers correctly use tenses or prepositions. This approach made grammar feel less abstract and more practical, directly enhancing her ability to communicate clearly and confidently with others. Crucially, she learned to embrace mistakes as invaluable learning opportunities. Each error wasn't a failure, but a signpost indicating an area for improvement. This shift in mindset liberated her from the fear of imperfection, allowing her to experiment more boldly with new vocabulary and complex sentence structures in conversations, growing immensely. To broaden her comprehension, she consciously sought out different English accents. From British to Australian, Irish to American, she exposed herself to a wide range of pronunciations and intonations. This practice significantly improved her ability to understand how other people talk in English across the globe, enhancing versatility and listening skills. She started engaging in more authentic conversations, moving beyond planned topics to spontaneous discussions. This allowed her to practice thinking on her feet, responding organically to unexpected questions or observations. These real-world interactions were critical for developing true conversational agility and building confidence in her abilities, truly essential for progress. One significant milestone was understanding nuanced humor and cultural references. This indicated a deeper level of comprehension beyond literal translation. Laughing genuinely at an English joke felt incredibly rewarding, a testament to her progress and a joyful indicator that she was truly connecting with the language and its underlying culture, a profound step. To complement her learning, she began building a personal digital dictionary. Whenever she encountered a new word or a useful phrase, she immediately added it, along with its context and an example sentence. This personalized resource became an invaluable tool for reviewing and reinforcing her expanding vocabulary effectively and efficiently, aiding recall. She made a conscious effort to apply newly learned vocabulary immediately in her conversations. This active application solidified the words in her memory, transforming them from passive knowledge into active tools for communication. The more she used them, the more natural they felt, boosting her confidence considerably in expressing herself freely. Pronunciation was a continuous area of focus. She paid attention to individual sounds, word stress, and sentence intonation. Using online pronunciation guides and listening carefully to native speakers, she diligently refined her articulation, ensuring her spoken words were not only grammatically correct but also easily understandable to others, a key element of fluency. Reading English texts aloud became a beneficial practice for how to improve your fluency. It helped her connect the written word with spoken rhythm, improving her breath control and natural phrasing. This simple exercise enhanced her ability to speak more smoothly and confidently, bridging reading and speaking skills effectively for overall improvement. Even when alone, she would imagine conversations in English, mentally formulating responses to hypothetical questions. This internal monologue was a powerful, no-pressure way to practice thinking directly in English, bypassing translation. It trained her brain to access vocabulary and grammar more rapidly, enhancing her overall fluency and readiness for real talk. To broaden her exposure and vocabulary, she started watching English news channels and documentaries. This exposed her to formal language, diverse topics, and different communicative styles. It was a rigorous but rewarding exercise, significantly improving her comprehension of complex subjects and expanding her professional lexicon effectively for future use. She ventured into participating in English online forums and discussion groups. This provided a safe, low-pressure environment to practice writing and reading English in an interactive setting. Receiving responses to her posts boosted her confidence and offered immediate, real-world application of her growing language skills, making learning engaging and practical. Understanding idiomatic expressions and slang was another layer of complexity she tackled. These phrases often defy literal translation, requiring contextual understanding. She consciously noted them down, asked her speaking partner for explanations, and observed their usage in daily English media, gradually mastering these tricky nuances for more natural communication. Slowly but surely, her daily day's struggle began to fade. The overwhelming feeling was replaced by a sense of accomplishment and genuine curiosity. English was no longer an adversary but a fascinating challenge she actively enjoyed overcoming, transforming her mindset completely from dread to enthusiasm and genuine interest in the language. Her confidence soared with each successful conversation and every correctly understood sentence. The fear of speaking diminished considerably, replaced by a growing eagerness to communicate. She started initiating conversations, no longer waiting passively for opportunities, embodying a profound shift in her linguistic self-assurance and belief in her own abilities. She concluded that, the best way to learn English was not a single method but a holistic, integrated approach. It involved consistent listening, fearless speaking, active vocabulary building, and continuous exposure to authentic language, all intertwined into a dynamic and personalized learning ecosystem she tailored for herself, proving highly effective. She learned to embrace the journey itself, celebrating small victories rather than solely focusing on a distant, perfect fluency. Each new word learned, every smooth sentence spoken, and every successful interaction fueled her motivation, making the entire process enjoyable and sustainable, rather than a burdensome task that had once intimidated her. Her advice to other learners became simple: why you should practice speaking cannot be overstated. Textbooks provide foundations, but speaking builds bridges. Engage your mouth, make mistakes, and learn from them. True fluency blossoms from active interaction, not passive absorption alone, she would passionately explain to anyone seeking guidance. She emphasized the vital importance of active participation. Passive consumption of content was a good start, but only by actively producing the language could one truly internalize its nuances. Speaking forces your brain to retrieve and organize information quickly, transforming theoretical knowledge into practical, usable skills effortlessly and effectively. She found herself learning immensely from real-life situations. Navigating directions, ordering food, or simply engaging in small talk with strangers provided authentic, immediate feedback. These spontaneous interactions were invaluable, pushing her beyond rehearsed phrases into genuine, adaptable communication, making her learning tangible and relevant to daily life. Now, how other people talk in English made perfect sense to her. She could discern subtle differences in tone, understand implied meanings, and even pick up on regional variations she once found impossible to grasp. Their conversational flow was no longer a mystery but a fascinating landscape to explore effortlessly and joyfully. Her journey became about continuous improvement for how to improve your fluency, rather than reaching a final destination. She understood that language learning was a lifelong process, always offering new words, new expressions, and new ways to articulate thoughts more precisely and beautifully, embracing the ongoing challenge with joy and curiosity. How to learn words had evolved far beyond simple memorization for her. She now focused on collocations, synonyms, and antonyms, understanding how words related to each other in broader contexts. This deeper understanding allowed her to express herself with greater precision and richness, elevating her vocabulary use considerably in all her communications. She made sure to listen and practice with diverse content, moving beyond her initial comfort zone. News analysis, scientific podcasts, and even historical audiobooks became part of her routine. This variety challenged her comprehension, expanding her knowledge base and refining her ability to understand complex ideas in English across various domains. She actively sought opportunities to speak English in various contexts, formal and informal, academic and casual. This versatility in her practice helped her adapt her language style appropriately, a critical skill for true fluency. She could transition seamlessly between different registers, demonstrating impressive linguistic agility and adaptability effortlessly. Every small milestone was celebrated, a joke understood, a complex thought articulated clearly, or a challenging conversation navigated smoothly. These small victories accumulated, building her confidence and reaffirming her commitment to the language. Celebrating progress kept her motivated and enthusiastic about learning more effectively and continuously. The initial frustration of my daily day's struggle had transformed into the pure joy of communication. English was no longer a barrier but a bridge connecting her to new people, new ideas, and new opportunities worldwide. It felt incredibly liberating to express herself authentically in another language, a true personal triumph. She even found herself teaching others, sharing how to learn English effectively based on her own transformative experience. She emphasized the importance of immersing oneself, speaking without fear, and embracing every interaction as a chance to grow, inspiring many who faced similar linguistic challenges to begin their own journeys. Ling's transformation was remarkable. From a hesitant learner filled with self-doubt, she became a confident, articulate English speaker. Her journey underscored that language mastery wasn't about innate talent, but about persistent effort, smart strategies, and a willingness to step outside one's comfort zone repeatedly and bravely to achieve her goals. Her story became a testament to the power of persistence. It demonstrated that anyone, regardless of their starting point, could achieve fluency through consistent dedication and a flexible approach. The road might be long, but every step forward, no matter how small, was a step towards incredible linguistic freedom and profound personal growth. She realized that learn English extended far beyond mere grammar rules and vocabulary lists. It was about understanding culture, nuance, and the unspoken language embedded within interactions. This deeper appreciation made her learning journey even more profound and intellectually stimulating, adding rich layers to her understanding of the world. Learning English had, in a way, reshaped her identity. She felt more connected to the global community, capable of understanding diverse perspectives directly. This new linguistic ability opened doors to different literatures, films, and conversations, enriching her life in ways she hadn't initially imagined possible, truly broadening her horizons. Now, English was seamlessly integrated into her daily life. It wasn't a separate task but a natural part of her thoughts, her work, and her leisure. This complete immersion was the ultimate reward for her dedication, making the language feel less like a foreign concept and more like an extension of herself, her very being. She knew how to improve your fluency journey would continue to evolve. There were always new words to discover, new accents to understand, and new ways to articulate ideas more precisely. The learning never truly stopped, and she embraced this continuous growth with genuine enthusiasm and curiosity, a lifelong learner. Ling, once overwhelmed by the monumental task of learning English, had become a confident, articulate, and passionate speaker. Her journey proved that with the right mindset, consistent practice, and a willingness to embrace mistakes, anyone could transform their linguistic struggles into a triumphant mastery of English communication and expression.